But if you want your wife to be creaming her pants over you and really excited to be, well, then you have to be a guy that would cause a woman to do that. And so this is where the disconnect is. Guys like, I want my wife to want me. And we just go, okay, time out, pause. Are you wantable? Well, most men have let their body go, and I've let my body go from time to time in my life. I'm looking great now, and I get a lot of compliments now. But that being said, that's only one piece of it. The rest of it is personality. Do they feel warm and secure and loving around you? Do they feel felt or heard and understood? Or do they feel like you're just clocking down a time watch just so you can say you put in time so you can go get laid? Do you do things just to get sex from her? And if you do, it's the same way she feels as if you thought she was just trying to get money out of you. Fired up, and then I'm like, damn, I gotta turn my heater off.
You're good, brother. You're good. I love the background. I need to get, is that a fox? What is that on your chair?
That's a coyote. That's my dog. This is my man cave here.
Beautiful,
so
man.
This is where we record all the podcasts. And this is pretty much where I work every day.
Yeah. Are you in Orange County?
Yeah, Dana Point.
Beautiful, dude. I'll be in LA. I've never been to LA. Besides, I shouldn't say that. When I was one, I was in LA. I got my passport in LA when I was a baby. My dad was Navy, but I'll be in LA in about a week and a half. I've never been out there as an adult though.
Oh, you're going to like it. Depending on which part of LA you go to. I'm guessing you're probably thinking Venice Beach, Manhattan Beach, kind of that area.
Yeah, the touristy crap.
yeah, you'll like that stuff. You'll like it.
That's all. Are you from Cali or
from where I live?
Okay. Are you from that direction, or are you from somewhere else?
Orange County. Yeah, I grew up here. I grew up surfing the same beaches that I surf now. Like I'm in it to win it, baby. I'm a native, man.
Bro, that's killer. Yeah, I've been so excited to talk to you. I stumbled upon your content. I want to say through, and you probably heard this a million times, but probably through Garrett White.
Okay.
I would say, and I've been a Garrett White, fan for a long time. His stuff has been incredible in my journey, but yeah, I've been following your path, and I'm like, oh, this guy's got some cool stuff, and I've just been typically, like most typical guys, just listening, reading, and then I'm like, wow, this guy's speaking to me.
Yeah.
And probably all my clients. So here we are.
I love it, man. This topic, first of all, Garrett J. White, I just love him as a human being. I think he's such a great example of he's got this empowered vulnerability about him. Not everybody pulls it off. Not everybody who's vulnerable comes across powerful, but I think the way he does it, he actually does. And it's so good. There's such a power in that. And, being his best friend and surfing with him damn near every day for the last 4 years, I see him so much differently than probably a lot of people see him in the marketplace. But I can tell you that he has been such an instrumental piece of me waking up and sharing. I already had all the expertise of how to get a guy to get his wife to want to have sex with him. But he was so instrumental in being like, bro, do you understand that you know so much about this that people aren't even talking about? And you got the fucking history of all these hundreds of women that you've slept with. Like, you've got a fucking laboratory that you've worked through where you've come up with some of these formulas, and these formulas are not fucking wrong. So share with my people, which was an honor, and it still is. And actually, he and I got some very big things coming up that I think will shock everybody, and I'm pumped. I can't wait for us to release it.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing, I'm sure. It's a taboo topic for a lot of guys.
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy in America that it's that taboo?
Guys it's our egos, right? I mean, we don't want to admit that we're not getting laid.
Yeah.
Or at least not as much as we want.
Yeah, it's like a currency in America. Probably a lot of Western English-speaking countries are like this, but the hypersexualization of our society in America has caused a perfect storm for me to actually share my message in a world where a lot of guys are like, what did he just say? Holy shit. I think this might be my guy. Like, I want to hear what this motherfucker has to say, because he's not saying it like anybody else. And actually, he's reading my fucking mail, man. How does this guy know what I'm thinking? It's because I got a penis just like you, dude, and I think the same way.
Yes, absolutely, bro. So let's paint a really clear picture for people. Where did this whole thing start? Because I've dug up on you. I know, at least it seems like you've been a proven businessman. You've got a tremendous amount of experience in the real estate world. but where did the whole idea that, hey, I want to talk about not getting enough sex from my wife or partner, whoever, where did that start?
Well, so before my wife left me 5.5 years ago, I was feeling the same things a lot of guys were feeling. That is that my wife doesn't want me. And I have a little different context. I came from where I was married at a very young age, and I got divorced around 28. And that when just sowed my wild oats and had sex with hundreds of women. So it wasn't that I was like, oh, I don't know what it's like out there. I knew exactly what it was like out there. I've been with enough women to know, hey, women, if I say women are typically like this, I knew I was righter than, if there's 1,000 guys, I know I was more right than 999 of them.
Mm.
And maybe if there was 1,000,000 guys, I knew I was right more than 999,999 of them. But I noticed that didn't translate into my wife actually wanting me. And so it became pretty clear for me that there was a differentiation between short-term attraction and long-term attraction. And so what I didn't know, I couldn't articulate it back then, but I'm noticing like there's this problem going on that eventually led to her FaceTiming me as we were about ready to move into our dream house and say, hey, listen, I'm going to help you move in, but I'm not staying. And I thought, oh shit, here we go. This doesn't feel right.
Mm.
And what happened? And I could just tell there's nothing. I mean, I did all. And then when I actually came back, she did help me move in. And then we loaded up her U-Haul and my daughter at 2 years old, and they did drive away and they were gone. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is my fault. And I realized, well, shit, I've been complaining about the dirty laundry around here for a long time, only to realize that when the light went on in the room, this was all my dirty laundry. This was all on me. And I kind of dubbed hey, I'm 95% wrong at this. The only reason I say 95%, because I'm like, there's nobody's perfect like that. There's got to be something wrong with her. But it wasn't that it was something wrong with her. It was just that I wasn't showing up in a way that any woman, regardless of how pretty or whatever. Yes, my wife is absolutely gorgeous. Every guy on planet Earth would say, hey, if she's in a naked magazine, they're taking a look. You know what I mean? And I just realized, shit, there's not one of these women that I have been with over the last however long that would have stayed with me either. And that was on me. So I realized I was the problem, but almost simultaneously it gave me the realization that I'm also the hope. I'm also the solution. And so if I was the problem, then I'm the solution. So I started to figure out what is really going on here. I hired 3 coaches to get her back. And even to this day, I say, if you want your sex back or your ex back, we'll help you out, because that's actually how it started. So I get my wife back. All my friends are entrepreneurs. They all run businesses, and they've all got people within their companies that have problems that I just went through, which is, hey, my head salesman just got served divorce papers. Do you think you can help him? Yeah, sure. Let me see what he's got going on. Hey, bro. Yeah, I can actually help you. And then I did. And dude, I walked like maybe 50 or 60 dudes before I ever started Married Game through how to get their ex back. We shot 11 episodes of a podcast and did it for like 2 years. No, that's not true. Yeah, about 2 years, before we ever even thought of teaching Married Game to married guys and just going in with guys. So that's where the genesis came. How Married Game evolved out of that was 100% to do with Garrett J. White. And I'm happy to get into that, but I want to be the guy that will answer the question, tell the story, and then if you have something you want to say, please feel free to respond, interject, because I could go on here and do a 45-minute webinar straight, but that's not what you're asking me to do. So
I got so many questions.
Okay, cool.
We're gonna break this sucker down. Cool. So was this was your second marriage you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How young were you when you got married? Because you say you got divorced at 28. How young were you when you got married?
18. No, I was 19.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
bro.
way too young. But you
Holy
couldn't talk
crap.
me out of it at the time. I was 100% convinced this is what I was supposed to do. I was called by God. I'm starting a church. I'm going to be a pastor. This is my pastor's wife. Like there was no telling me otherwise.
Wow. So then that lasted about, well, let's see, 9 years.
Yeah, 18. Maybe I actually got married when I was 18, not 19. I was 18. Wow. So yeah, 18, about 10 years when it was all said and done.
Dang. Okay. So you had that as a somewhat of a baseline, but then you went out and you sold your wild oats for how long? How long until you got married again?
Oh, dude, 4 years, 5 years. Let's see, 28 to about 33, 3-ish, maybe. So I don't know, 4 or 5 years. It's not that hard when I was in great shape, had money, I knew how to talk. I studied specifically game, how to actually create attraction. And then I just became, I'm like, well, basically I was like, I want to fuck the girls that are in the centerfolds.
Yeah.
And the girl I picked before, while she might have been attractive to other people and she's not an ugly girl, it just she wasn't attracted to me, and her spirit and her energy of where she wanted to go in her life wasn't for me. I'm sure she's fine now. She's the mother of my other 3 children. We don't talk much. We have literally zero in common about literally anything other than we have kids, and she lives in a different state. And so I hardly ever talk with her. But at that point, I realized at 18, or when I decided to get a divorce, and at 18, I was just like, okay, I'm only gonna be with somebody that I am radically attracted to, and that is radically attracted to me. Because I had sex issues in the first one, and it wasn't that it was bad; it's just that she wasn't that into it, and we were pretty religious at the time, and there wasn't a lot of answers. Actually, even in religion today, there's not a lot of answers on how do you actually fix what's really going on, because nobody's talking about the one root word of all this, which is attraction. And so that's what I wanted to set out to fix.
Let's talk about that. Because I'm like you, I have a gorgeous wife. I mean, she is a 10 out of 10. Like every centimeter of her is a dime piece, right? So I'm like that guy who, I was the same mindset of you, right? I was like, I'm only getting married if I find the perfect one, like attraction wise. Like I have to be attracted to every inch of her. Otherwise it's a no-go.
Yeah.
And here I am. But I think in my crazy brain of mine, I'm always thinking like, man, I got to stay on top of my game, right? I got to stay on top of my game, because she can get anybody, right? Like she's every man that walks this earth. We go, oh yeah, she's amazing. She's unbelievably beautiful, right? I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, you know this.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the root of it.
Tell me, they're like, Jesus, dude, your wife is so pretty. I'm like, I know, right?
Oh, I know. All my friends try to be nice about it. They're like, oh yeah, your wife is, man, your wife is, she's good looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have to be political about it, bro. You just say she's hot.
Yeah.
So you talk about the root. What is the root of attraction? What is the big issue here?
Okay, so being attractive means somebody's leaning into you, not being pushed and repelled away. So people might look at you and me on the screen and go, wow, that guy's got a fucking set of arms. No wonder women want to grab him. Or they might look at you and go, look at that chiseled ass fucking chin, dude. What does this guy do? Fucking bench press with his fucking jaw muscles? Like, this guy's insane. What are we doing here? And might just think, well, that, I have to be a physical specimen. And the truth is, we've had guys that have gone through the CrossFit Games come through our program, because it doesn't necessarily have to do with biceps and abs. That's great. But even to this day, my wife and I, if she meets a guy with biceps and abs and he opens his mouth and he sounds like a dum-dum, she's like, oh my God, gag me with spoon. Same way we look at a hot chick and she comes up and she's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to be like, oh dude, she can't, don't let her talk around me anymore, please.
She's a 10 on mute.
Yeah, it's exactly. So it's an attraction means I'm leaning into you. And yes, men want sex, but what men want more than sex is they want to be wanted. And the only way your wife's going to feel, you're going to feel that your wife actually wants you is if indeed she's truly attracted to you, which means she leans into you. She likes what you have to say. I say a lot of women sprain their eyeballs listening to their husbands, because their husbands say something. Women are like, oh my God. Because men we just say some of the stupidest shit. And it comes from a set of beliefs that are different than what I believe now. So there's used to believe like, hey, if I protect, provide, and produce and take care of my family, then I should be getting lots of pussy. Well, why aren't I? Well, just because those are the things that you're supposed to be doing as a man. Those aren't exceptional. Those are essential. They're not exceptional. But if you want your wife to be creaming her pants over you and really excited to be, well, then you have to be a guy that would cause a woman to do that. And so this is where the disconnect is. Guys like, I want my wife to want me. And we just go, okay, time out, pause. Are you wantable? Well, most men have let their body go, and I've let my body go from time to time in my life. I'm looking great now, and I get a lot of compliments now. And I'm even on the road to becoming elite in my body, and the way what I spend my time doing. And like, wait till you see me in 90 days. I've hired a coach, and it's fucking all go systems go. But that being said, That's only one piece of it. The rest of it is personality. Do they feel warm and secure and loving around you? Do they feel felt or heard and understood? Or do they feel like you're just clocking down a time watch just so you can say you put in time so you can go get laid? Do you do things just to get sex from her? And if you do, it's the same way she feels as if you thought she was just trying to get money out of you. And so what I'm doing is I'm reversing a lot of these scenarios where guys feel radically entitled, extremely emboldened to say, I want this. And yet reality, they haven't done anything to deserve that. And so they're in fantasy land. And that's where I lived for a very long time. And so no matter how good looking a guy is, I just go, hey, listen, you do have to stay on your game, but it's not just because she has options. I heard you say that, and I like that. And that's the step there. But a one step that's even better, and you have to go to where you're going before you get to the next one, is the only reason I do all these things is because that's my standard. And that's why you look so damn fucking sexy with your shirt off and your shirt on, bro, is because you've decided that, hey, Josiah Novak's standards are, I'm going to be ripped forever. And so whatever comes in my body, you don't do that because you're just trying to get laid. You do that because ultimately that's your standard and it's the identity of who you actually are. Well, if you do that and you create that same identity and standard in being a husband, same identity in being a dad, same identity in being a producer, next thing you know, you start to put all these things together and you are truly what we call a provocateur, a man who provokes his wife to want to fuck him. Like she's like, I imagine your wife's at home going, wow, I can't wait for him to get home because, dude, mama needs a good fucking plowing right now. Most guys are like, I can't believe he's saying that. Well, isn't that what you think? Well, yeah. Isn't that what you want? Yeah.
100%.
Well, let me fucking show you how to do it because it's not wrong to want it. And even the joke about me looking over my shoulder, having a guy like basically not even be able to say in public, I want to get fucked. I want my wife to fucking like lust after me. I want her to want to spend all day in a hotel with me, just fucking her and having it. Like, what is so wrong with admitting these things if all of us really, truly want it? Well, the reason why a lot of people don't admit it is because they actually don't know how to get it. And so they think there's no fucking possible way I could ever get it. So they immediately just hash the story out and go, that's not for me. Well, that fucking narrative didn't work for me for one reason. I knew I could get the opposite sex to be really excited about having sex with me. That, you know, you don't have sex with hundreds and hundreds of women because it was an accident. It's because there's a process and a way of being that creates it. And I was like, okay, that's when I started to understand the difference between long-term attraction and short-term attraction. They're actually very different sciences, as it were, in certain regards, and they're very much the same in other regards. But they all start with one basic understanding, and that is this. You've got to become the most attractive version of you for you and no one else. No one fucking else.
I preach the same thing about fitness.
I knew you did, because that's the only way you look the way you do.
You got to become the guy you admire.
By accident. What?
Yeah, 100%. You got to become the guy you admire. Like, you follow all these dudes on Instagram. Why aren't you following yourself? Or why wouldn't you follow yourself? Well, because you haven't created that version of you yet, right? Like, that has to be it. So, dude, all right. I love it. I'm hooked. Now you got my attention. So you mentioned the short and long-term attraction. I'm really curious about that one. Being a married guy with kids myself, you know, I think back to our early days, and, you know, I'll be completely transparent on this podcast because that's just who I am. We have regular sex and it's great. Like, I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm going on a drought, but, you know, I'm a guy who I want it all. I want my wife to feel connected to me and that same desire that I have, that animal instinct where I'm like, it's 12 o'clock. She's out. I'm like, I can't wait for her to get home. I'm gonna rip her clothes off. Right. I want her to feel that way too. Yeah. Let's talk about that. I think most of the people listening, at least in my arena, are married guys with kids who are like, yeah, the honeymoon phase was great, like 18 years ago. Yeah. But now what? Now we're just surviving.
Yeah. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to those guys because I know that that's a living hell. And I also know that honeymoon sex is for the minor leaguers. And that soul sex is for the fucking big leaguers. And how to get
Hall of Famers, baby.
How to get to soul sex, bro, is understanding long-term attraction versus short-term attraction. So, okay, for example, short-term attraction, you come in, you're a high value man, you understand that you, first and foremost, you become whatever it's, if you're a great fisherman, you don't say, hey, we used to catch fish back in the 80s with this. We say, this morning they were biting this. So first of all, as a good fisherman, you got to understand what the fuck would attract this fish to come bite my hook. All right. So you got to understand what that is. So as a single guy, you go, hey, well, you know what? What do women value? Well, they value resources. So I need to become I need to become a great producer. What do they value? They value being seen, heard, and understood. Having somebody, every woman says, I just want a guy who gets it, right? Though nobody gets it except a very few handful of guys. Naturally, they want somebody who has power. He says something's going to happen and it fucking happens. They want a player. They want somebody who's smooth and suave and looks good and that they go, damn. Every woman wants to be with a high value man. That's first and foremost. That's what's most attractive on a number of levels. Hey, if they're going to have offspring, they want to make sure the offspring survive. If they, you know what I mean? If they're going to be married to a guy, they want to make sure he's not a pussy, just in case the tribe from across the hill comes over and then wants to, rape her. They want to know their man's going to be there to protect. So there's some of these natural primal things that are going on. What happens when that, and so for a short term or for, short-term attraction, I would not give any woman in the time of day. I would basically be like, they would have to work very hard to get my attention. Why? Because I have so many options that why would I schedule time to be with you? What makes you valuable for me to spend my most precious commodity or my most precious asset was my time and my energy to you? Why would I do that? So that's the leverage you have in short-term attraction. You have a shit ton of options and they know you have a shit ton of options and they want to be your best option. That's the fundamental mechanism of what makes short-term attraction very, very powerful. You do not have that mechanism when in long-term attraction, when you say, I do, and we're going to be together for fucking ever. All right. Western society, a marriage is looked at like a contract between you, your spouse, and some heavenly entity. And it is never to be revoked. And this is lifelong. Even in the next life, basically membership you're signing up for. So you better fucking make sure it's the right one. That's the energy in America. Would you agree with that?
Totally. 100%, man.
So we've definitely got two fucking very conflicting mechanisms at this point. Short-term attraction, you've got this leverage. Long-term attraction, you do not. Which is why, because of that, that one mechanism that's missing is what causes 85% of marriages and guys to go, I'm not happy with the quantity or the quality of sex within my intimacy, within my marriage. And what happens is they go to these old school books or these short-term attraction books and go, hey, I need to learn some game. And they learn a set of rules that doesn't apply in this game. It'd be like if you showed up for fucking basketball in your soccer cleats, I'd be like, hey, buddy, granted, those cleats are extremely valuable in this game. I want you to understand they are going to be a radical hindrance to you in this game. And say, well, what do I need? Well, I'm like, you don't need fucking long grass turf cleats in a basketball gym. You need something that's going to be able to grip the actual floor. Okay. So here's the switch. Where attention over here is what they are craving and crying out for that you will not give to them. Now over here in long-term attraction, it's the actual one thing you need to give them for them to know that they are still valuable to you. Okay. And so it switches over to where guy wants, we love TNA. We love TNA. Everybody loves TNA, tits and ass, man. Show me that fucking rack and let me show me that booty hole, baby. Let's make it clap. We love that shit. It's probably when you touch a girl when she's first naked, there's a very good chance you spend most of your time on her ass or her tits. Okay. It's just, it is what it is what we like. Well, for us, for them, the TNA is not tits and ass, obviously, but it's time and attention. It's time and attention. So two things have to be in play for this mechanism to work. Number one, you have to stay an extremely valuable man that is somebody that she still desires attention from. Most guys, when they switch over here, for some reason, the standards start to drop. They start to drop. They're no longer, they get their dad bods. They're not whatever. So you help a function of this and helping men get their physicality back. But a lot of times these guys start to become real pussies and their personality is no longer attractive. And Here's what happens. She was initially attracted to you, and then you stopped doing stuff that was attractive to her or attractive in general, or you started doing some things that were unattractive, and usually both, which mechanically caused her wiring to just start to lose the attraction. So your status in her mind just became lower and lower and lower and lower. Status is actually the most important thing in attraction. If you really look back at everything, you got a lot of fucking very rich, ugly dudes banging the hottest women on planet Earth because of their status. Okay. Now, the beautiful thing about everything I teach is its wiring. If you stop doing attractive things and start doing unattractive things, that attraction is going to start to leak out. The same exact science, same exact wiring within her mind is when you start to do attractive things and you stop to do the unattractive things, that it just starts to build back up in her subconsciously without her even knowing it. She doesn't know it. She just like, fuck, I'm starting to feel things for this guy again. Why? It's not that you negotiated into her. It's that you became this radically attractive, supremely valuable man again. And then you started to give her attention, actual attention, which I believe a woman craves more than anything. A high value woman craves the attention of a higher value, higher status male more than anything on planet Earth. And so what happens is a guy becomes low status within his marriage, tries to give her attention, and now it becomes like, oh God, dude, get away. No, I don't want to have sex with you. No, I don't long for you. But if Jason Momoa came up and knocked on your door that fucking night, the night she had a headache, dude, she would be glammed up in 30 minutes, flattened out on the greatest fucking date, sucking that guy's dick in the back of his car before they even got to the restaurant. Why? Attracted, because he's a high value man. So the number one is you got to become a high value man. The number two is you have to learn to give her attention that actually is meaningful to her.
Let me pause you for a second, because this is where I want to hit, because this is hitting me right in the feels, right? So as someone who has high standards, you know, I'm ripped, I'm a millionaire, I take care of everybody, right? Her family, everybody. I consider myself a high value man. But like you said earlier, no one's perfect. So Keith, how do I give her the right attention, right?
Okay.
Not just, oh, I did the dishes today, or I
Yep.
listened to you come home from work after, you know, she has some clients that she does hair and stuff like that. She comes home and she tells me, oh, this client said this client's a bitch, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. She even asked me the other day, it's a true story, I'm just going to tell you. She asked me, when I tell you my stories, do you actually care, or are you just trying to get through it?
Yeah.
And I said, it depends.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I don't give a shit. Sometimes I got nothing to say back. And sometimes I do care.
Yeah.
But how do I give her attention for real?
Yeah. Well, couple things. So you are the high status male. And I deal with a lot of high status males, and I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, go-getters, guys that care about quality of life. They care about a lot of the guys I work with have already fixed the financial game. They've already fixed the getting paid game. It's just the getting laid game that they're more like, well, what do I fucking do here? And it's this. So giving somebody your attention. Now, this is the long-term attention. This is what she wants. If she believes you're giving her attention, expecting nothing in return. Again, we use these terms: giving something, taking something, receiving something, offering something. And I think we lose the power of what they really were. Can I offer you some advice? Usually is not really much of an offering, other than hey, let me tell you where you're wrong. And it's usually more of like it doesn't feel like somebody's giving you something special. It feels like somebody's giving you a piece of their mind. You're like, I don't necessarily need that. So when you give your woman attention, it has to always give her energy and not take her energy. So you brought up the exact fucking example I actually use in a lot of my talks. And that is, you know, I have these certain dials that if you dial these things in, the attraction ramps up. And then frankly, you could ask for whatever you want and she'll give it to you. Oh, so much so, let me set a new standard that my wife and I just recently like, hey, we want to fill each other's sexual fantasies. What are they? And so we told them to each other, and we both were like, I could fucking make that happen. You ready? I'm fucking, yeah, you can make that. I'm ready. What? And most people, like, they almost kind of spit their coffee out, or like their heart gets a little like when they hear me say that word, because when have you ever heard somebody say, my wife and I are working on fulfilling each other's sexual fantasies? Most people are like,
I've never
oh,
heard that.
shit. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
I don't think so.
No. And the look and the response when I say it is the exact same every fucking time. It's almost like, oh shit, where's he? There's almost like a sphincter butthole pucker. Like when it happens, like, oh shit, what's he about ready to say? This is, I think, a sad predicament, because if you can't talk to your spouse about what your sexual fantasies are, who the fuck are you talking to them about? And we all have them. We all have them. It's not like oh, I'm not supposed to think that. Well, I don't know. You were given a brain and a fucking sex drive. Maybe you were supposed to think that, but maybe you were supposed to also communicate that to the one person that you've committed to actually fulfilling that for you. So I understand the topic is radically taboo, but if you show up with giver energy across these 5 dials, this is where the real magic comes in. And you become the guy, because every woman I've known, every woman, except for like a very small handful. And if I've been with over 200 women and I've only met like 5 or 6 of these, I can tell you this is how small the percentage of women are who crave sex as much as a guy and think about it as much as a dude and actually want it more than a guy. Very small percentage of women actually want that. And so what guys think is they want that until you've been with one and they want sex 3 times a day. And you're like, fuck, dude.
Good luck hanging with that.
Now? You're like, I appreciate the fucking boost of sexuality here, but this is a little much. So, but if a guy just wants to be able to feel wanted and feel loved and could feel like he could ask his wife, hey, would this be something you'd be open to doing? This is something, or just saying, hey, this is something I'd really like to try, or something I really like. Are you open to doing this with me? To have her be able to say yes to that or be open to that. I have a 5-dial system that if a guy just looks at these dials and we can crank these things up, he'll be good to go for that. So do you want me to just get into that? Because I'll answer a lot of these questions.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh, I'm on pins and needles over here. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So the first dial is the parenting dial. If you have a kid, your wife is looking at you and wondering if you're a good parent or not. And the reason for that is very simple. Wives love their kids more than their husbands, and they always will. And the reason I know that is because moms don't divorce dads. I'm sorry, moms don't divorce kids, but moms divorce dads all the time. So clearly we know that a mom will pick her child over her husband every day and any day of the week. So we have to just say, well, okay, that's reality. That's truth. There's a reason for it. That's why she was born, is to birth babies, to get them to survive, et cetera, et cetera. So of course she's going to be judging me on how good of a dad I am, because that's something that's very important. And not only that, but that's something that drew her to us in the beginning. Hey, this is a guy I want to have kids with, means I feel like this is a strong, stable, sturdy enough situation that my offspring, my dependents, are going to be able to depend on this dude for a lot of things. And when he isn't showing up as a great dad, that is a major fucking letdown for almost every woman. And so therefore there will be resentment and built up towards that. So we always look at that first dial as, hey, how good of a parent are you really? And how good of a parent are you for being a parent's sake, not for, hey, I hope my wife watches me do this. Now, I'm not judging anybody on this. My wife literally told me I was the worst dad ever, that so bad that she didn't even want to have a second kid with me. So I'm here on my ivory tower saying I'm a great dad and you guys need to listen. No, 5.5 years ago, that was one of the main reasons why Jessie left me, was she's like, you're such a shit fucking dad. I can't even leave our newborn with you. I'm afraid something's going to happen. Like, you're not even going to pay attention. This is a horrible indictment on me, because I had 3 other kids with another woman that I was a pretty decent dad with, but now I am the world's greatest dad ever, in my opinion. And my daughter says, hey, dude, you're an amazing dad. My wife's like, dude, you're an incredible fucking father. And actually, a lot of my friends compliment me like, dude, you really seem to understand your daughter really well. Well, I spent a lot of time with her, but I created a standard that said I have to spend 30 minutes a day with my daughter, no matter what, or else I don't get my parenting point for the day. And so I just had to ask myself really quick, if I'm a dad that can't spend 30 minutes alone with my daughter, like, what am I doing here? Like, how busy am I really that I can't spend 30 minutes? So that's the very first dial that we look at. And I just have guys say, hey, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How you doing? Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 on being a parent? And then that will give you an answer. If it's anything less than a 7 or a 6, then you're pretty much a D or an F dad. It's going to be very hard for a woman, your wife specifically, to be really that into you, because the resentment levels of her towards you are going to be really fucking high. That makes sense so far?
Yeah, I'm a 9. I spend a lot of time with my boys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Okay. All right, number 2, the second dial. This is another big one. This is one like you talked about when your wife said, are you really listening to me or not? And this one's really, really big. It's called the partnering dial. And that is, I call it like the best friend dial. Does your wife really feel like you're her best friend? Meaning, can she really come and talk to you about things? And a lot of guys actually, they're like, oh, that's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, well, listen, here's the thing. If your wife can't talk to you without her really believing you're listening and having engaging conversation back with her, first of all, she's seen you do it with your guy buddies. So it's just like, fuck, dude, I know this guy can conversate. But number 2, imagine if every time you talk to somebody, you could tell they were barely listening to you, they just wanting something out of you. You would probably hurry up every one of those conversations as quick as possible because you don't feel like the person that's there actually wants to be there with you. And you miss out on a great, what's called the outside the bedroom connection. Outside the bedroom connection is actually what leads to inside the bedroom connection. And this outside the bedroom connection is, hey man, I really do give a shit a lot about what's going on in your life, about who you are, what you're working through, what's happening with your mom and your parents and whatever. And I just say this, the guy that if this is the standard, this is the goal. I don't know of anybody who's actually totally hit it yet. I may be close, but I don't think I'm at the grand holy grail in this one yet. And it's this, a lot of guys, I just say, imagine what you'd have to do or who you'd have to become to where if your wife looked at talking to you for 20 minutes a day as the highlight of her day, she would do anything for you sexually anytime you wanted at any point in time you wanted. I know that to be true because I look at the way my wife talks to her mom, talks to her every day, a couple times a day. But I know that morning conversation is like the big one, like setting up and if anybody has a wife that has a mom that they get along, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's the highlight of her day. She wants to check in with her mom. What's happening? What's going on? And so if you realize that you hearing her, she feels heard, and you like listening to her and watching her with your eyes, she feels seen. And through both of those things, when you communicate back as an active listener, she feels understood. Seen, heard, and understood. And if you ask any woman, what do they really want in their marriage? They want to be seen, heard, and understood. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be understood. And so you get this opportunity as their life partner to actually dive in with this. Now, here's what some guys might say to this. Like, oh, I'm not her girlfriend. I'm not going to be her emotional tampon, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no shit. I get that. But people talk to and confide in, and they trust people with information that they respect and look up to as well. So be that for them.
She's not telling her girlfriends everything she tells me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different wavelength. She didn't have kids with her girlfriends.
It's so different, man. And their girlfriends don't wake up next to her. Her girlfriends don't know her wildest dreams. Her girlfriends don't know her biggest fears. Her girlfriends don't know a lot of the things that she's entrusted to. I can just say this. If you understand this fucking formula, connection outside the bedroom equals connection inside the bedroom, then you will be on your way to getting whatever it is you want inside that bedroom. Now, it might take time. And do they have resentment and is she going to push back when you start acting this way? Of course she is. She's supposed to push back. I tell every guy that comes to my program, just so you know, in the first week or two, your wife's going to give you a lot of pushback, or at least a little pushback on this. They go, what the fuck? Why is that? I thought I was getting better. I go, because she wants to know this is real.
Yeah.
And it's not just something you read on page 43 of a book and you're trying it out to get something from her. That's the thing where if you do any of these things with taker energy, and what a lot of guys out there, I say that they're 50 frumpy and unfuckable. There's a lot of guys out there teaching how to get your ex back or how to get the sex back. And then you just look at them and you're like, dude, you got more chins than Chinatown. You wear fucking pleated jackets. You got leather tassels. I just happened to be a married dude that came onto the scene and said, hey, do you guys want to actually have real game so you can actually get your dick wet with your wife? And then they look and go, well, I'd hang out with that guy. That's actually a guy who could probably fucking beat me in an arm wrestling match. Fuck, what's going on here? And so it's just it's the same message, a little different, coming from somebody that actually looks like us. And we're saying the same words that we use, like blowjobs and 69s and all the other fucking shit we talk about. And it's just like, okay, well, listen, she wants to know, can I have a great conversation with her? Because most women, it's their brain. It's their brain that is their most sexual organ. So she's going to test because she's already been so let down. This guy who she married that's not here anymore, and he's down here, and he's still expecting her to want him the same way when he was up here. But now she's reacting to this version down here, and you don't like it. You want her back up here again, but she's like, dude, I got to give you what you fucking giving me. This is horseshit. And then you actually start to become this guy again. She's like, well, wait a second. I've only been dealing with this motherfucker, and I've seen him do this for a week or two. I better push on it to see if this is real or not. And most guys fail these fucking tests. They fail every single test. And people only test what they want to trust. People only test what they want to trust. If I was to have you sit down in a chair and you fell on your ass, and I kind of barely put it back together and put a couple pieces of duct tape on my hair, try it again, bro. He'd be like, bro, I'm not sitting back on that thing.
Are you fucking high?
That's the same thing when wife sees a man start to become this guy, not for her, but for him. She has to test it. Is this really for him? Or is he doing this to get something from me? That's what I mean by taker energy. Because these other guys that are 50, frumpy, and unfuckable are saying, hey, just go get her gifts. Hey, happy wife, happy life. Hey, just do some chores around the house. And
love languages. That's it. That's all you got to do.
That's love languages. But if you're a total pussy speaking someone's love language, there's still not a desire for them to do it. Like him goes, dude, I got her flowers. I open her door. I go, she can hire a fucking butler for all that. Yeah. Doesn't mean she wants to fuck the butler.
Not yet.
But that's so people test what they want to trust, and then when they pass the test, the trust goes up, and when the trust goes up, the lust goes up. That's when she starts to lust after. She goes, wait a second, Josiah's in this relationship. I'm not just a babysitter for his kids. I'm not just fucking hot chick he gets to parade around on his arm. I'm not just this vagina that he gets to fuck whenever he wants, but he loves the whole of me, not just the hole in me. And that's what the partner dial is all about. I love all of Jessie. Of course, I love her vagina. That's beautiful. I'm glad she has one. I'm glad she has a set of tits. That's awesome. But that's not all she is. And so I look at the rest of our life as all the foreplay up to whenever we have sex, and that is just the release. So the foreplay starts on Tuesday if I'm wanting to have sex on Friday, so to speak, as my buddy Garrett says. And it's just everything is foreplay. Everything is connecting with her. Everything is her and I getting to know her and I for her and I's sake. And my wife said, she's like, I feel like a walking vagina. I'm like, yeah, you're probably not wrong. I should probably figure that out.
This is beautiful, man. This is beautiful. You're speaking to my soul here. I'm big on energy, right? Like, I think you can sense like even just coming on this podcast, you can sense my energy right away. Like, is this guy cool? Is he not cool? Like, what does he want? Like, does he want something out of this? I'm big on that, right? I sense, like, immediately I got the vibe, like, oh, I can show this guy, right? This guy's cool, man. Like, I don't even know what you're gonna talk about, but this guy's cool. Like, let's just get after it, right?
Yeah.
So you got the two dials, but that second one, that one is like I tell guys with fitness, you know, you're gonna start doing all the things. We call it muscle meals and movement, right? You're gonna start getting after it. But life is gonna test your ass.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna get after it, and then all of a sudden, boom, something's gonna happen. You're gonna be hit with, do I give in and say, you know what? I'm not ready for this. You know, life's going to throw me a curveball. Nah, it's not the right time. It's going to test you.
For sure.
But your wife's going to test you. It's going to happen.
Has to. She has to figure out, is this real or not? That's just 2 of the 5 dials. We want to hit a couple more?
Bro, I want all of them. Let's go.
Okay, all the dials, baby. All the dials. Okay, here's the third dial. And it's the producer dial. Hey, listen, dude, nobody wants to be around a broke dick. You know what I'm saying? Women don't want to be in a 1-bedroom apartment driving in cloth seats cars forever. We're desired to expand, and we have a desire for nicer things because it's just kind of how we're wired. But it's not even so much about having a bunch of money, because yes, most of the guys I work with, because dude, I'm a business owner. We've been successful. That's the people I hang out with, and I understand us, really well. And we have a mindset that says we will not settle for anything less than our best. That's the key determining factor for most entrepreneurs is I will not be under the boot of another man. And I want to become my best. And so it's running from the boot of another man, but it's also pursuing, things that are nice and luxurious. And so that particular guy, a lot of men, they become workaholics and they go, hey, I'm building this for us. And the wives are like, well, we haven't seen you. So whatever us you think is here, it's not true. We were moving into our dream home. We have the nice cars. She's driven all the cool cars that, since she's been with me and all this other stuff. And it's simple. It was just simple. She goes, I don't give a shit about any of this. I just wanted to be with you. But we think because we're producing at a high level that we're supposed to just get whatever we want. And in fact, guys who are used to producing a high level are used to getting whatever they want. So they feel extremely frustrated at home when they can't get what they want, so to speak. So that being said, there's the workaholic, and then there's the guy that loses his ambition once he does get money. And I've been both. And so the reason why a woman wants a man of resources is more than anything is a man of resources as a leader. And women love leaders amongst leaders. They love leaders amongst other men. Why? It's wired into them because then there's a better shot for her offspring to have a better life. It's just something primal within us. But there's also something about man that produces that even makes men admire and envy him. And the truth is the guy who gets laid the most inside a marriage or outside of marriage is the leader of men, and he cares more about impressing and beating men than he does about women. So it's what makes him even harder to attain for these women. And so he becomes the ultimate prize. And the ultimate prize that all of us love, Super Bowl coming up here in a few days. Why do we love it so much? Because only one team gets it. Out of all the players that have fought so hard, and all the players in the college, and all the players in high schools, and all the players as kids, there's only 0.0001% that will ever hold that trophy. And so therefore we go, that's the prize. Well, what's common amongst every prize? It's very hard to get. The common thing about every fucking great prize is it's extremely hard to get, and only a few get it. And so the thing about being a producer amongst men and really actually making money and having resources is it sets you up in a better way in life, and it shows that you are a leader amongst men. Yes, there's a couple little nerds that can create something that goes and makes big, but dude, you know what? As much as Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and all these guys look like they are the softest, weakest fucking pussies on planet Earth, there's something about a leadership ability that they were able to get people to follow them and build something that was so big that, it makes more money than most countries. Yep. And so there's something about this leadership that women gravitate towards, especially high quality women, the women that we all grew up jerking off to. That's why they want this, guys, because so it's this man that can create resources. There's something different about a man that can create money than a man that can't. He usually believes abundantly as opposed to scarcely. It's just more fun hanging out with people that are abundant and generous than they're miserly and scarce. So you're just a better dude typically. But this is, again, any one of these silos, if you just are good at this and horrible at the other ones, you're not going to have very much luck. If you're just a great parent, there's a lot of great dads that are not getting laid. There's a lot of great partners that are just they're like their wife's gay best friend. There are a lot of guys that are just great producers and they're fat as fuck and they own casinos and they're just like, what the fuck? How's that guy getting laid? So any one of these things individually isn't that powerful in and of itself, but to combine creates the ultimate attraction. So that's dial 3. A lot of guys get entitled just because they provide, protect, and produce, and therefore they become apathetic. And it's the apathy that causes them not to pursue their woman in a way that shows he's given a lot of attention to her, that she really, this is why they say, you ever heard, women have daddy issues?
Oh yeah.
What does that mean specifically? Well, here's what I believe it means. The girls with daddy issues are usually the ones that we say are porn stars or strippers or prostitutes. They have daddy issues. Well, what does daddy issue mean? It means they're seeking male attention. That's how deep I know this is real, and it's not just something I came up with. It's because it's so in our society. It's just all across. We all say, "Oh, she got daddy issues." Oh, okay. Well, a lot of women have daddy issues, and the very first man that they look up to and meet is their dad for the most part. And so there's a reason for why this works that way. So that's the third dial. Nobody wants to be, and it's just ambition. It's purely ambition. Will you, and I always do, when my wife met me, I was taking over the world. And when she left me 5.5 years ago, my business was running pretty damn good on its own without me having to do a lot of effort. So man, that's when I got my dad bod. I was on the couch popping Chipotle burritos like they were Tic Tacs. And I lost that zest of adventure. And women, like cats, love adventure and they love mystery. Yeah. So that's the third dial. And most guys think just because they hit it, they're entitled to it. And that's not the case.
Bro, I love this. This is it's so relatable to fitness, because we teach our guys to get in shape, right? But it doesn't stop there, because so many guys get abs and they're like, all right, cool. That was fun. Now I'm just going to go back to the Chipotle pills, like you said, right? But you got to have a next adventure, a next mountain to climb. Like I tell our guys, go do a Spartan race. You just got shredded. Go run with your shirt off. Take pictures running with your shirt off. It's fucking epic.
Yeah. Right.
Like your kids, your wife are going to be like, damn, that's my man. Right. That's awesome, because you have another season in you. And then season after that, you have another target, another checkpoint. It never ends. That's like the secret. You got to keep that energy and that motivation high to go do something new and fun. So the women love it.
That's why it has to be you for you.
Yeah.
Because all this other energy is, I'm doing this and where's my bow job? I'm doing this and why isn't she lusting after me? It's like
doing this because it's my standard.
Yeah, you have to become the most attractive version of you for you. It's the same thing with love languages. Do love languages work? Yes, if you're doing them because that's your standard, and you do it to them regardless of how they do it back to you. The love languages work only if you're an empowered human being. If you're not empowered, then everything looks pathetic and you're trying to get something from somebody. This is why this shit doesn't work. And this is why most men are really fucking mad, because they're like, dude, I get what I want when I want to get it. I get what I want. I'm that guy who gets what I want, but I fucking can't get this. Yeah, because you can't force desire. You have to create the container where with desire and attraction and lust and wanting and longing grows. And I call it the marital arts. It's a lot like martial arts, but it's the marital art. You got to listen. If you want your wife to suck the white right off your dick, or black if you're a black dude, or fucking brown if you're my fellow Latinos. Not that I'm a Latino, but I'm a Spanish girl. So anyhow, if you want that, then you just have to say, okay, cool. Well, then what container do I have to create to get that? And it's not you giving up who you are, like, oh, I don't want to have to change me. No. I'm not saying you to change you. I'm telling you to become a smart fucking fisherman and learn the bait that gets your wife gets attracted to you every single time. That's called being smart. That's called being wise. That's called making sure you don't fucking cheat on your wife and blow up your whole fucking life and be an idiot like I did in my first marriage, because I felt trapped as fuck in my first marriage. I'm like, I'm not attracted to the woman. I don't really even want to have sex with her. So what the fuck? And then, you know what I mean? And then I start looking out and I'm like, oh, well, then that lady wants to have sex with me. And then you start doing this stuff that just ruins everybody. I've hurt my first 3 kids because of my affair and my first marriage. Fucking hurt them. It damaged their soul, man. And I hate that. That's why I'm so insistent about not having that happen in this second one. I was like, well, I want to be wanted. I'm used to being wanted. I've been wanted by hundreds of women, not just, hey, they send me a love card. We were naked fucking our brains out inside of a fucking bed or a beach or somewhere. And I want that feeling with my wife. And what I've discovered inside this is, if you actually do what I'm telling you, dude, I wouldn't trade sex with my wife for any of those women. None of them. My best sexapades, my best sexual experiences are with my wife. By far, because now it's soul sex. It's 2 souls that want to be there and want to grow. And it's like, man, once you experience that, it just goes. That's why I say some guys are in the pit and they're not getting any sex at all. But then there's some guys that are on this path heading towards this peak, and they see what my wife and I, they go, fuck, man, that peak is way higher than I thought. I didn't realize the peak of marriage could actually be that high. And fuck, they look like they're having a lot of fucking fun. What is going on there? And so even guys on the path, we have a lot of guys that come into our program. They're like, dude, it's good, but I want great. I want fucking great, dude. It's good, but I want great. And what you guys are experiencing, and here's the ultimate test. I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories. Number 1, we've had a lot of people, whether we've been in masterminds or people have just come out and hung out with Jesse and I, that have given us their credit card on the fucking spot. I was in Arizona, a guy came up and handed me a credit card. We were out with a bunch of friends. And he goes, whatever this is that you guys, he goes, I've seen it with my own fucking eyes. I've been with you guys all day. I'm in. And give me, that's one of my favorite things that ever has happened. My second favorite thing that's happened, I was speaking in Salt Lake City at a big event, and I'm in the bathroom going pee, and I come out and wash my hands, and the guy goes, hey, did you do stand-up comedy in Las Vegas? I go, yeah. And he goes, I was at the show with you and Brad Lee that you were doing. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. He goes, I was there with my girlfriend. And I go, oh, that's awesome. Now, mind you, this was about 2 or 3 months before he had seen me. And maybe 4 months. So it was like a little bit of a distant memory at that point. And he goes, yeah, dude, my wife and my girlfriend heard you talking about your wife in your comedy set. But later, after you were done, I went back to the bathroom and I saw you making out with some girl in the back corner, and you guys were fucking into it. And I was like, this guy's a fucking lying piece of shit. And my girlfriend saw it too, and she was like, what a fucking douchebag that guy is, up there talking about his wife. He's now making out with this hot young girl in the back. And I go, what'd she look like? And I pulled up the picture, and he goes, that was her. I go, that's my wife, you dum-dum. And he goes, okay, well then everything you're saying is real. I gotta get it. Like, this is real. So it's really the real life that we live, and it's way better than anything I ever experienced in a one night stand or any of my girlfriend, anything like that, because it's truly soul level sex. And we've had to work through all the bullshit to get to there. And that's why it's so fucking meaningful. Yeah. Are there women that probably are younger and maybe in better shape or haven't had a kid and whatever? Yeah. Yeah. Sure. But they don't understand my soul like Jesse does. And that's the beautiful thing, is once you get that and you understand that, the whole game really fucking changes, and you start speaking differently. You start saying things differently, and people hear it differently. So that's where we come into now. Well, I'll pause in case there's anything you want to say on that.
Dude, I'm I'm literally like just so locked in right now, because this is what I know, not just me, but so many, and I say high performers, the guys like us. You nailed it when you said guys like us get what we want.
Yep.
We're so used to, like, I was a top athlete, then I went through a rough patch, but then I was like, nope, I'm going to get what I want. And I created a 7, soon to be 8-figure fitness empire. But it's like, I have a beautiful wife because that's what I want. But it's like, this thing takes more work than just like what we're used to, right? Yeah. You actually have to think deeper. You have to think smarter.
Yeah. Just kind of like with you with six-pack abs, man. Like, probably keeping a six-pack for you. I don't know. Do you have to spend much conscious thought on it anymore?
Not anymore, but I did for a long time.
Beginning. Same thing with me with my married game. And I fall asleep from time to time. My wife will be the first to say, hey, dum-dum, what happened? I'm like, I fell asleep, my bad. And because I'm human, just like anybody else. And I've got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm building businesses, and I'm doing the things I love too. And so giving her all this attention isn't always the top thing on my priority list. But when I realize that I'm starting to get pudgy in that area, I go, oh, well, wait a second. So at first it feels like you're having to really pay attention to a lot of things. Then it just kind of becomes who you are. And that's the goal of everything that I'm teaching, is it's a becoming. It's not just a, hey, say these 3 words or do this thing. It's become the guy. And this is what happens in your brain. And this sounds cocky as fuck, and I don't care, because it's true. And if you can't accept it, then one day, hopefully you'll experience enough discipline that you will. But at this point in my life, I truly, genuinely believe that if Jessie left me, it would be her loss. Number one, I would be devastated because she's my best friend. I fucking love this lady with all my heart. She's the greatest person I've ever met. I would feel a lot of loss too. I'm not saying I would not feel a lot of loss, but my mind would be like, fuck, that's a bummer, because I really liked traveling. I liked her as my co-pilot. But I also genuinely believe and know for a fact there would be 100 women at my door, knocking on my door, the most attractive women on planet Earth, saying, how do I become the next Mrs. Keith Yackey? I only say that because of who I've become. It'd be like if I'd tell you, hey, You want to pick up some extra shifts down at Applebee's, and we'll fucking probably put $18 an hour in your pocket. You good? You'd be like, what are you fucking talking about, dude? Like, no. Why? Because you become somebody that you have a way different standard. It doesn't mean that you think that those people are horrible or whatever. It's just that that's not a standard that you're going to live at. And it's the same way with me. I go, I know how well I treat Jesse. I know how well I show up for these people. I know that and we have this in the married game, our statements are, I am the catch of the county. The catch of the fucking county, which means if I become single, I'm now I'm the highest ranking bachelor in all the land. I know this sounds like crazy talk, but the only reason I can say this, because I can go look back at I've been tracking this for years now. How good of a parent was I? How good of a partner was I? Every day I can give myself a point for how good of a parent, partner, producer. And then this next one is the one that's really key is, and this is what most guys, if they stayed this long, I don't have a hard stop on this. Can we keep going?
No, this is beautiful.
All right. The next one is the player dial. It's the player dial. And this is where a lot of guys forget this. And this is why a lot of guys can't say what I just said, or they go, well, that sounds a little cocky. No. I play with my wife. I know how to play. I know how to be flirty. I know how to understand what makes her laugh. And I get these things. For some reason, this thing is popping. I feel like a 1980s, like I'm wearing a 1980s blouse with my mom's with the fucking shoulder pad.
I keep looking at the cap delts, man. You're good.
Dude, don't make me flex my calves on you, bro.
Dude, I'm just speaking of cocky. I'm literally the last man on earth that you'd ever want to do that to. My calves, not that anyone gives a rat's ass, but my calves are something special.
Well, let's see them. I just showed you mine.
I would, but my pants won't go over them.
Oh, that's fair. These jeans nowadays. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, those aren't bad. Those are close to mine.
It's terrible angle.
Yeah.
Look, you got the whole thing there, man. This is like, it's bigger than my head, as you can see.
Are you sure they're bigger and better than mine?
We're gonna have to do this in person, I think.
We'll do a calf off. But having that mentality, and the reason why we track our points is so you have the proof to yourself that says, hey, I know I'm showing up. I know I'm deserving. When you know you deserve something, you will not accept anything less than that. Nothing. If you go buy a $200,000 sports car right now, drive it around for a month and says, dude, listen, bro, I'll give you $40,000 cash right now for it. You wouldn't take that. Why? Because you know it's worth more. Same thing. When you put the work in and you become a provocateur, you will not accept any bullshit. Nobody, you become a $200,000 guy, you don't accept $40,000 anymore. We won't make that trade. And so that's where the confidence that seems like it's cocky comes from. It's like, no, motherfucker. I can lift a 50-pound dumbbell. That's not a problem for me. I put the work and I have the muscle. So that's what it is. I'm saying, become the guy that can do that. You have to become a guy to do this. And I realize some of this, like talking to your wife about your sexual fantasies, or my wife and I having sex in the back of the Escalade on the way home from dinner, or me saying, hey, would you give me a blowjob over here? And she's like, yeah, no problem. Like, I understand that feels like the 450-pound squat to most guys that are just reading the fucking magazine and learning how to get a six-pack ab. I understand that, but let that be the inspiration for you to go. There is that level to go to, and it's way better. I'm telling you, as a dude that's had sex with more women than most any man will fucking ever. I think I was joking around with my buddy. I said, I probably had sex with more women than this whole fucking movement of guys combined. You know what I mean? You might want to fucking pay attention. I can tell you that it's fulfilling to a point, but nothing, not even close to fulfilling to when this marital fucking soul synergy bliss happens. And it's this fourth dial that really brings out, it's the player dial. The player dial within your marriage. Who are you within your marriage? Who are you, and are you fun anymore? Most guys are no longer fun, man. And that's a thing. Well, guys, they go, I want my wife to be playful in the bed. Because that's really what we're saying, is we want her to be playful in the bed. I want her to be playful in the bedroom. I want our bedroom to be like a playground. Okay, I get it. Except you and the word play do not go together in any other context. So what am I supposed to just assume we're going to do that here? And so guys are no longer fun. They're no longer the players. And I like to quote the great American poet, Cyndi Lauper, when I say, you know, when she said, girls just want to have fun. She was right, man. And so a lot of guys don't bring out the sexy side of their woman because she's not having fun anymore. Everything's serious. Everything's an argument. And it's just, so it's like, they're like, I want sex. And then their wife are like, I gave you sex for like 3 minutes, motherfucker. Like, hurry up. And then that's when a guy goes, well, I don't want just sex. I want like really good sex. I want you to actually, like, I want you to want this. You know what I mean? Like remember that old famous statement in the movie, The Breakup? It's one of the greatest movies of all time with Vince Vaughn. And she goes, I don't want you to do this. I want you to want to do the dishes. Well, I made a joke out of that. I said, yeah, like I told my wife, I don't want you to, you know, I don't want you just to give me a blowjob. I want you to want to give me a blowjob. You know what I mean? Like, we want that. We want them to be involved in the act. And so some guys are in the pit where she doesn't initiate, she doesn't enthusiastically participate, and she's more into the spreadsheets than she is the bed sheets. But some of you guys have pulled out of that, and you're actually getting some quantity back, but now you want the quality of sex to be. You want her ripping into your back. You want her eyes rolling back. You want her just to fucking love when you eat her out, and then just watch her giggle and coo and moan because you are bringing her into a whole nother fucking world. You feel like a man, man. You know, I always say everybody wants to feel like the fucking man, but it's hard if the man ain't fucking. Well, it's really true, man. And we want our women to be like texting us and like getting butterflies, and we want those things, and we associate those things with the early part of marriage or the early part of dating, actually, and it starts to cool off in marriage. Well, my wife and I have come to the agreement that if everybody just stayed like they were dating when they were dating all through their marriage would be amazing.
Yeah, because fun.
Yeah, and so it's like, when do you guys go on date nights? And I'll ask guys, you wouldn't go on date nights? And like, yeah, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, you probably heard me say this, but you know, I say it a lot. And I go, well, what'd you do? They're like, well, we went to Home Depot to pick up, you know, for some parts for the house, and then we swang through the Chick-fil-A, you know, drive through. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, no shit, Casanova. No wonder you're not getting more ass in the toilet seat. Like, if this is would you ever take a girl on a first date? Do that. Oh, I would never do that. Well, there you go. And the women are just not used to a man being a player anymore. So a player can be a lot of things. Okay. And this is how we look at it within married game. Number one, you care about how you look. Women definitely do care about a man's upper body muscularity. That's been proven over and over and over again. So and here's the other thing that a lot of guys, they get mad at me sometimes when I say certain things, and I go, well, let me ask you this: do you have a choice to be this or not be this? Yes. Then you're choosing. If you're not going to change it, you're choosing to stay the same. So if you know, and by the way, I've had women literally just stop me in a club or at a base or, you know, a beach or whatever and go, your body's incredible. There've been times my body's been just fucking totally incredible. It's okay right now. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? I still get a lot of compliments, but not like those compliments. Or a lady would just be like, damn, perfect stranger, come up and just like, fuck, I would love to fuck that body. So this actually has happened in my life. I'm sure it's happened in yours. I don't know how early you met your wife or how buff you've been and all this other stuff.
I was single my whole 20s. I got married when I was 29.
So I can promise you, without even knowing you and not even preempting you this comment, there has definitely been women that have come up to you strictly because your body and say they want to be with you because of your body.
Yep.
It happens. Women like that stuff as well. So a lot of guys like, women aren't individual. Okay, I know that they've been taught and told to say that they're not. And I agree, it may not be the most attractive thing, but from a distance and from you to eat, before you even open your mouth, that is a huge fucking advantage. I can promise you that. The best looking guy, even if he's dumb, will catch the attention of a woman better than the smartest motherfucker who doesn't look like he's that physically, like he could protect or really do much damage if somebody came in with some bad intent. Yep. So he's in great shape. He actually knows how to dress. He wears shit that actually fits him. And listen, I've met guys that are really thin and lean that may not look like they could fuck anybody up, but no jujitsu, and they could fuck both you and I up with the one hand time behind their back, but they wore clothes that were size appropriate, so they looked like they were in control. I mean, dude, if Brad Pitt from Fight Club walked up to you with a baggy shirt, you and I would both think this guy looks like a fucking idiot.
Correct.
He takes the shirt off, you go, oh, there's a whole different fucking story. So dressing to actually accentuate what kind of body you actually have, smelling good, having things tailored. I get it that these aren't the things that cavemen and prehistoric men were fucking thinking. Even pre-modern men weren't thinking about this. But in our day and age, women do actually give a shit about this. Being able how to flirt, knowing how to joke. I've laughed my way into more hot fucking vagina than anything else, dude. I have got them laughing and just giggling and it's like this energy, because if you're funny, here's what it takes to be funny. It takes not really caring what other people think. So somebody who's extremely funny is willing to say shit, because funny usually means you're saying something that's true that nobody really wants to admit from an angle that people definitely haven't seen. And if you're willing to do that, you must have a fucking big set of balls, because you're willing to say something that people could disagree with, could not like. So the attraction to humor is way deeper than just ha we like to laugh. It says so much about a person who can laugh, especially if they can laugh at themselves and still remain very high status. There's a lot of psychology to it, but you're gonna get your wife if you're playing with her, meaning you're playing games that she likes. You're going places she wants to go. Dude, I can tell you, we've had the greatest fucking sex and the greatest times ever, high, drunk, having the time of our life in a Vegas. We lived in Vegas, and we'd hire the nanny for the night to just watch our baby at least once a month. And we would go down, eat the best restaurants, go to the best concerts, have the best fucking sex of our life multiple times that night, and do Vegas as a Vegas local with a fucking wife, but do it like we were fucking single, but do it together. It's like, well, how are you going to stop that couple? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's this energy of, dude, the dating never stops. The I want to be with you and fun never stops. What kind of adventure and situation do we want to find ourselves in next never stops. I always say this: women want to be thrilled and fulfilled. They want to be thrilled and fulfilled. Fulfilled is we've got the house, I feel protected, I feel, secure. That's the fulfilled, safety and security. But the thrilled is the seduction. It's the shenanigans. It's the, oh my God, what if we got ourselves, if all your good stories are from way back when, you ain't living, man. My best stories are now, dude. I've got the best fucking stories with Jesse just from 2 weeks ago. We're like, can you fucking believe that? That's my best friend, and we're going to go do shit together that's adventurous. And so there's this wild, fun, exciting thing about being together that makes early dating, I understand because they got that new car smell, but dude, new car smell is nothing compared to fucking old soul vibes, man.
Totally, man. Totally. Yeah. It's funny. Our best sex is, we do day dates a lot because, I run my own business. So I can cut out for the day. Nighttime can be hard sometimes. We have two boys. But we get creative, say, all right, we're going to just cut out from work for the day and go do something fun. The sex that day, unbelievable. Best. Unbelievable. Yeah. And I will say, I was thinking about your rating system. I give us a 9 on that because, we're going to LA in a couple weeks, actually next week. And that's an adventure. We're just going, we're just got babysitters, kids are staying home. We go for 4 days. We live for that, right? Yeah. Our stories are going to be absolutely nuts. We're going to live like we're 18 or not 18, 21, 21 out there. Right. But it's I speak from experience with that. You are spot on. You can never, oh my gosh, whenever I'm in a dry spell, as I call it, where it's damn, not getting that ass, I need it. The one go-to that I know will always work for me, at least speaking for myself, is the adventure. Let's set up a day date. I'll be like, babe, Thursday, I'm not working. Clear schedule. Let's go. And at the end of that day, just because I'm into it. I'm not doing it for the sex. I'm into it. I actually have a blast.
Reconnecting.
We're reconnecting. Yeah. That's where the intimacy goes to another level.
Dude, this is life, man. Like we live in Orange County, but Hollywood is about an hour and a half away. LA, about an hour and a half away. And I used to do a lot of stand-up comedy on the Strip. I performed at the Comedy Store. Same night as Rogan before, man. And
that's
same
so
night as
sick.
Malcolm. I've got to perform at the same nights with some of these really cool. Got to perform with Kevin Nealon from Saturday Night Live. Some cool comedian. And a buddy of mine runs a show down there, and he calls up. He goes, "Hey, man, I got tickets tonight. It's our I think it was their 9th or 10th anniversary for their running their show." And I'm like, it was a Thursday night, which, we probably jokingly call, maybe you do too, boys, it's a school night, right? You know what I mean? It's a school night. And I said, "Hey, Jesse, you want to go to eat your favorite West Hollywood? There's a couple of restaurants we love at West Hollywood. Anything Lisa Vanderpump, Jesse loves because of the show." And I go, "You want to go eat at Tom Tom and then go to the Comedy Store?" And I said, we can get a booth. And we end up getting Mitzi, the owner's booth, at this show in West Hollywood. We didn't get home till like 1 or 2, man. And we had a fucking blast, dude. Like we were just having just causing all sorts of chaos and how we cause chaos. And it was fun. It was lively. And it was just like, if you're not doing that, then you're missing out on the life that you want. Someone goes, "Dude, I want my dating life better again." I go, "You know who's in control of that? You. You get to decide what your date life looks like while you're married."
I got a question on that. And it just hit me because I think and I'm just going to speak from my experience. I'm sure a lot of guys will feel the same way. I don't know why sometimes when given opportunities to be adventurous, like I just went through how great I am at the day dates and all that stuff, but there's still moments where I pass on opportunities almost because I'm afraid that if I do it, some other area of my life is going to slip. Right. So maybe I become boring. It's like, oh, well, shit, if we go to West Hollywood and we're out till 2, well, damn, I got meetings the next day. Like shit, like I'm not gonna be on top of my game. And then my wife has resentment if she finds out that I skipped on it. Right. Cause she wants that shit. She's like, "Dude, let's go. I don't need sleep. I need thrills, man. I'll sleep. What is that?" Like, that's my wife. Totally, like, to a T. And I just wonder why do I do that? You know what I mean? Why do I pass on those opportunities? Is it fear? Like, what is it?
Well, or maybe well, there's a couple of reasons, probably. Number one, you may not see how important they really are. And so if there's not a lot of importance on something, if there's no desire for it, you're not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, probably the number one thing you've realized in the guys that have gotten success going through your program is they've had a deep fucking unwavering desire to finally get to want to look the way it was that desire that pulled them. And so they would be willing to do whatever it took to get that. Cool. That's the common thread with guys who go through married game. Anybody who wants any change, there's got to be this deep fucking desire so if you are thinking there's a lot of fulfillment in your life, but not a lot of fulfill, but not a lot of thrills, or she's really fulfilled, but not really thrilled. And you might just want to say, okay, well, you got to understand this. You're going to have to pay the investment to get the ROI, no matter what you want. So if you understand, for my wife and I to have this carnal fucking lust thing going after each other, and I know that after dating her and doing shit that she likes and being adventurous, and I took my wife on a couple-hour hike over here in Laguna, dude, she was like, "This was almost damn good as sex for me." I was like, "Wow, well, is that what are you talking about? My sex?" And she goes, "No, this was fulfilling as fuck for me." Like, loved it. She felt so connected. And so those date type things create that real connection because you feel like you're skipping on something everybody else thinks you should be a part of. There's a lot of psychology why those dates are so powerful. But back to your question, why do you avoid it? Well, first of all, you're radically committed to your goals. So any deviation from that feels like you're letting yourself down, and that's letting your identity down. You're not going to want to do that. So you just need to put it into the identity of, okay, for Josiah Novak to be totally like an A+ on everything, you just know there's going to be some investment in that particular dial you're going to have to make to get that thing to be where you want it to be. So It might be, hey, we're going to do a comedy store one time, but I don't like to stay out really late either. Not honest, but like my regular standard routine is I'm in bed by, like last night I was hitting the quilts about 7:45, 7, almost 8 o'clock, because we just put our daughter to bed. We didn't have sex last night. So I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I was thrilled. Like if I'm in bed before 8, I'm like so fucking happy because I want to get up at 4 and do my thing.
Yeah.
But then I realized there's times where it's like, but I know I know this little filly needs to get out and just fucking run around a little bit. And you know what? It makes her feel amazing. Like she's still alive. She's still vibrant, and that we're not missing out on anything in that as well. So it's just a little taste and we come back, little taste and we come back. So if I just think you might not understand how vitally important it is. And now that you maybe re-see it a different way,
yeah,
you'll be like, no, I want to create that. I want to create that.
Yep. That makes so much sense. What's
Yeah.
the last dial?
Power dial.
Oof.
The last dial is the power dial. And this one is, I added this into the program after I'd had about 100 guys go through the program. We're about 250 guys have come through now. And just the coaching thing. There's about another 100 guys have just bought the modules, but about 250 guys have come through the actual full-blown coaching. And after about 100 of them realized, man, shit, some of these guys are getting the first 4 dials, but they're not getting laid the way I know they need to be. And there's something off. And I could hear it in the energy of how they talked. And I realized we had to add a 5th dial. And actually the guy who was working with me at the time was really keen in on and you know, recommended. He wanted to have more like a purpose dial, but I was like, no, there's something different. It's the power dial. And it's this energy of you know, we're entrepreneurs, we're go-getters outside of the home. And then we come back home and we start acting like the employee. We start checking the clock and okay, what do you need me to do? How can I help? Blah, blah, blah. And we start acting like fucking the help, as opposed to the lead going, okay, I'm here to be with you guys. I'm radically present with you guys. If you need help doing something, awesome. But it's not coming in with this helper energy. It's coming in with this more of an empowered energy of like, they're excited to be with me. But it starts way back before that. So there's 4 questions we have every guy ask every single time. And it's simply this. And let me tell you what it's meant to get rid of. And then you'll understand why the questions are what they are. We're trying to get rid of this needy, pouty bitch validation mode that most guys are in with their wife. So they'll go and do these things. You know, they'll type in the internet, how do I get my wife to want to have sex with me again? How do I want my wife to want me? And then you'll get some dude that's 50, frumpy and unfuckable talking about you need to learn how to communicate. And they're like, oh, fuck, okay, I'm going to communicate. And they go and they try a few communication lines only to have it blow up in their face and like, fuck, that didn't work. And then they start getting mad. And this was supposed to work because fucking Stanley over here at fucking Pleated Khakis R Us said, if I did this, that would happen. They're like, fuck, that doesn't work. And they go through these mechanisms, all only reinforcing something in her brain. And that is, this guy is trying all this shit just to get something from me.
Correct.
And therefore, he has no power in her eyes. And so she's like, ugh. And it leads to them falling into what we call the mom matrix. The mom matrix is where the wife actually looks at the husband almost like another kid. And a lot of guys will say that, like, I got 2 kids, but my wife says she has 3, hardy, har, har, har. Well, the intention is that you just do what you're told when you're at home. And you're not a leader. And so therefore, all the things that you are at home are really unattractive based on because you think this is how you're supposed to do this happy wife, happy life bullshit. And it's not true. No, a true happy wife is one that has a husband that's standing in his power, that she can lean upon, that she can test. And if she tests him, he doesn't buckle under pressure. Therefore, she can trust him. It's how we're actually wired. And so the power dial, we ask simple questions. Did you do any of this personal development for your wife other than you? And did you get butthurt if she didn't notice? So a lot of times we don't even want the guys. I don't care if they tell their wife in the program or not. That doesn't really matter. But I go, listen, if you're doing this just so you can get a cookie, a gold star, or her nookie, she's not going to go, wow, I can't wait to fuck this stuff. She's like, oh my God, I'll give him some pity sex like the little child that he is. Like, oh, I feel bad for this guy. Oh, I better throw.
You get a missionary. That's it.
Missionary is it, and it better be over soon, and it better
With my
be
shirt on, with my t-shirt on.
T-shirt on, under 2 sets of covers, and don't you dare try and flirt with me or even talk with me after this. Like,
I'll turn the lights on.
I don't want anything.
No lights. No lights. You have to go in blind.
Yeah, so you understand this. And the guy's like, no, dude, I want you to like be like crawling like a puma up the stairs to get me. I want you heat-seeking missile right onto my man part. Like, I want you to want this. And she's like, how could I, you little fucking child?
Right.
You can't even put your clothes in the hamper. You get them right next to it. What are we talking about? My wife's like, dude, did you have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? A long time ago. You have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I'm like, oh my God, thinking she's Nostradamus. How do you know? She's like, pretty fucking simple. You got a glob of peanut butter and a fucking smudge of jelly over there, you little fucking child. I was like, oh my God. So what are you doing this for? What's the motivation? If it's for so many women, especially if they're like checked out, they're like, you don't change for me, man. Like this, it's not even going to work. Like, I'm so not into you. I'm so over you. So they don't even like the energy. Women have told us they don't like this energy. The second one is, are you afraid to ask for sex for fear of rejection? And if you get rejected, are you a pouty little bitch? And dude, even guys that get deep in the game and really have game with their wife sometimes still fear fear of rejection from old programming, old wiring. And we have ways that we can teach you how to break out of that to where you never think that again, because that's limiting you. And if you ask from a really fucking weird energy. And then if you don't get it, then you start to be a pouty little bitch. You start acting passive aggressive and like, well, maybe I take the trash out more if I fucking got some sex around here. And then it becomes this transactional thing. And you're just like, oh, Jesus, dude, this is not going to work out very well. And guys, they don't understand how to break out of it. Another question that we ask ourselves is, and this is the overarching principle of everything is, do you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it without fault? Men are fucking horrible at this, man. Men are horrible at this. And like, my wife isn't afraid of me cheating on her. She's not like, oh, Keith's going to go find someone better. She knows that I'm not going to find anybody better. I've got the fucking best and I'm in love with her and I would never do anything to hurt her or break her heart. But it's not about that kind of trust. It's, can she actually lean on my word and it stand up? And it's for me, dude, I used to say, yeah, I'll hang the painting. And then it'll be a month later. She's like, why didn't you hang the painting? Or yeah, I'll stop by the office and get you something. I stop by on my way home from the work and get you something. And then I forget, like, oh, I was really busy. There's always an excuse for why my word to her didn't fucking matter. And that causes the trust to go down. And when the trust goes down, the lust goes down. So a lot of guys are like, I'm changing, babe. And she's like, oh, I've heard that before. Dude, there's a lot of guys that jump on sales calls with us and figure out if they are actually a good fit to be in our program. Because we really want to make sure you're a good fit. We've got a fucking 100% success record. And I'm not going to fuck that up because some idiot thinks that all we want is their money. Dude, swiping the credit card is the fucking hardest part. I'm sorry, the easiest part. That's the easiest part. Becoming this dude that's actually fuckable to your wife is a whole different version of you, man. And so I don't say that to scare anybody, but I do say it to say, hey, listen, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, and most men say, my word is my bond, when it's not. People are like, hey, man, I'll see you tomorrow night. And then, last minute, like, oh, I can't make it. Sorry. Like, what the fuck, man? No heads up, no nothing. Like, and so our women are used to this and men are used to getting away with this. And it's just like, it's no fucking problem. It is a big problem. So therefore, the reason why so many women sprain their eyes, rolling their eyes at their men is because they don't believe that he's going to do what the fuck he says he's going to do anymore at all. That's a big deal. Another thing that a lot of guys do, and this is what the power dial talks about, we say, do not edit or audit. Did you edit or audit your shine for fear of being disagreeable? What that simply means is, like, were you afraid to be, are you editing who you are? Are you auditing your shine? Are you playing smaller because you're having to walk on eggshells around somebody? And you've settled for being tolerated, not celebrated. That's a big statement in my house. I will not be fucking tolerated. I will be celebrated. But I have to also know I'm a man worthy of celebration. And I'm doing that because I would celebrate me. I am clear enough about what the fuck's going on then I'm not living in la fantasy land. And so, dude, if you really do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it, that is the most sexiest thing ever to your woman, because it's the small things, it's the little things that are pissing her off. And what most guys don't understand is that most women will plan a year or two before they leave. They'll put up with a lot of shit, and then they're fucking, when it's over, it's over. Then those guys are calling me to get their ex back. So within Married Game, we help them get their sex back, but we also have a lot of guys that call us up trying to get their ex back as well. And we have a very high fucking success rate of that, because it's a very similar principle, which is simply this. Whether you're trying to get the sex back or you're trying to get the ex back, is very simple. You have to become the most attractive version of you for you. Plain and simple. The guy who has worked on his body, worked on his personality, become a great parent, a partner, provider, producer, this guy is not lacking sex. And if he is, it's his own fault, because at that point, now he's choosing to stay in a situation that is way below his standard, rather than saying, you know what, hey, I've done everything I can. I know my worth. I know where I'm at, and I'm not going to settle anymore. And then that man decides he'll exit the relationship at that time. So so the bottom line, I hope that everybody's hearing, is we teach guys, like, you will fix your sex life. It may not necessarily be with your current wife right now, but if you're willing and committed to fix your sex life for the rest of your life, we can help you. And we do have guys that end up getting divorced through our program, but it's because they come through, they actually become a provocateur, and then we teach them to have grace and to give space and to let their wife rise. But some of the wives are just like, no, this new version of you is amazing, incredible, and I actually don't want to become that with you. And those guys have left and end up finding, we've been around long enough where guys have left and found new spouses, and they're happy as shit, not because they're new, but because they're built off of a principle of, hey man, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to settle for this. And most guys, when they go, I'm not settling for this, usually tell everybody else to change. But when a real man says, I'm not going to settle this, and he looks to change himself, that's the guy who truly does get what he wants.
Damn. This is probably one of my favorite podcasts ever. I
Thank
don't
you.
say that lightly. I've done shows with a lot of big names. This is powerful stuff. Speaking of power, this is a sledgehammer,
bro. It's it. And I think why you might be affected by this so much, not because, yes, there's a lot of wisdom in here and a lot of practical steps, but the feedback I'm hearing, that's why I'm asking this question to you, is there's so much hope. There's so much hope, like, whoa, I truly can create anything I want. And I used to think I had to wait for somebody else to create it, but now I realize, is that kind of what's happening with you?
Yeah. So it's I've lived a lot of this stuff, right? So I know you're speaking straight facts, because I've experienced some of the good and some of the bad that you just went through. And I'm married to my best friend, and the hope part is spot on, because when you're married to your best friend and it's the woman that you're like, nah, this is it. Like, this is it. There's no plan B here. It's hopeful and inspiring to hear, like, hey, you don't have to be like, I see thousands of guys come through our program, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting in shape, but I'm fucking miserable with my wife. Right. And you start to, like, just because we're all in this human race of like, oh, I see all these things that are normal or supposedly normal happening. And you, like, don't want that at all. You're like, nope, I don't want any part of that. But a small part of you, sometimes when you're at low vibration and you're kind of like, it's been a bad day or whatever, a small part of you thinks, fuck, that could be me. Right. If I'm not careful, that could be me. But then you hear all of this. And first of all, anyone who's got open minds, who's got our type of energy where it's like, no, I want to improve. It's on me. Like, let me go. Give me the blueprint. I'll do it. You tell me how high to jump. Like, I'm going to jump high. Those type of guys, this conversation should be inspiring.
Yeah.
Because the guy who's got a lot of blocks up, who's like, no, well, she's this, she's that. Like, it's going to take some work for sure. But the guys like us who are like, dude, put it on me. Put it on my back. I'll run. I'll go. This is like a hopeful message, because you have the blueprint, at least the start of it, right? Like a really, this is you gave your best stuff away.
No, I didn't. Wait, no, I didn't.
It feels like you did. You gave me so much gold here, man.
This is why we have the high success rate when guys come into our program. It's based off that framework, but I could show you a couple of filters and a couple of frameworks that would blow your mind. You would see your words would change instantly. When you heard them, you'd be like, oh, like just a few things. It's why, dude, it's honestly, if I'm being 100% fun about this, a lot of guys like you who have interviewed me that like, we haven't had a chance to really connect, end up coming through the program and going, fuck, dude, like,
Oh yeah.
why didn't we talk about that on the podcast? I'm like, bro, you love the podcast. You love the podcast. Have me back on. We'll go in deeper dive. But I'm telling you, it's because there's basic psychology that when broken down the right way, you go, you're making so many connections because you're like, this is the exact same as fitness. Like the guy's got to change his brain before he changes his abs.
Yep. 100%.
And so it's
100%.
so fun to see this happen, man. I
Dude,
love it.
So it's so funny because all of the dials leading up to power, I felt like, oh, there's a lot of things that I'm doing great. You know, I'm a great dad. You know, I'm not the second dial of like connection and listening and actually being interested in her. Like there's some work to be done there at times because I'm an introvert and all day long I'm listening to people all day. Right. And so when it's the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I need to breathe. Give me some space. Right. I just want silence. And we've communicated on that, but there's still times where I go, you know, but I'm a guy who wants the best relationship, right? That's part of who I am. It's my identity. So I'm going to have to give a little bit in those moments sometimes where it's like, you know what? I'll be okay. I'm not going to die. I can be totally interested. Let me treat this like a podcast. I'm fucking interested as shit right now. Right. So when she comes home and she wants to talk to me about her day, it's a podcast, baby. I'm very interested. Let me help you break it down. I'm there for you. And then I'll get my introverted time and then I'm gonna get my sex time too. Right. But I'm putting the pieces together. And then when you talk about power, though, I started immediately. I'm sure a lot of guys listening too. I started to audit myself immediately. I'm like, oh shit, my bathroom counter is not perfectly organized. And I told her I was going to do that. And I know she's on it. She's walking past that every day going, that son of a bitch, his pills are still out. What the hell is he doing? And even if that's not the biggest thing, it's still a thing. There's still a leak in the ship there, right? Like I talk about the Titanic all the time with my people with fitness is like, you might not think it's a big deal because it's a tiny little hole, but I bet you there's a lot of other holes that you're not even seeing right now that you didn't follow through on what you said you were going to do. And that shit is weak. And there's many times now my wife doesn't describe me as her third child. Not yet. I'm not going to let that happen, but I'm sure there are times where like yesterday, I took them all skiing yesterday for the day. And I acted like a little bit of a bitch. I'm not going to lie. Like when I really think about it, I didn't take full control of some of the situation. I kind of like go, oh, let me just hand it off to you, babe. You tell us what to do. And I'm like, that was weak. And I bet it didn't turn her on. You know, it probably didn't make her feel all like, ooh, this guy's the shit. It was probably like, oh, God, I'm going to have to deal with this all day. You know what I'm talking about, right? So it's like,
I'm shaking my head vigorously for those just listening to the audio version.
It's like, you know, like so you start to audit and you go, man, I can clean up this. Because when people hear power, I think a lot of times, you know, guys think, what's the hot buzzword? Toxic shit, right? It's like, no, it's being the man because you are a man and doing what you say you're going to do, even with the little stuff. Even with the trash, even with the dishes, whatever you say you're going to do. And then being like, and because I love how you describe energy. It's such a, like, I like to think part of why I'm successful is I'm good at picking up on energy and I'm good at matching energy. Right. And I'm good at not being a weirdo. That's what I like to tell my people. Right. I'm good at just not being a freaking creep. So when you come to the household, like the boys are home, my wife is home, we're all kind of just like doing our thing. It's like you have to be the CEO a little bit, right? It's like, I'm going to give like instructions. I'm going to help the homework. Oh, I see the homework. Okay, I'm going to do the homework, but I'm not going to do it because, oh, I'm going to do the homework because mommy told me to help you with your homework. Yeah. That's not the energy. It's like, oh, bro, I'm a math. I had A's in math. Let me sit down with you. Let me knock this out with you, buddy. Knowing my wife would do it if I didn't do it. But she sees that. And I'm not doing it because, oh, this is going to get me laid. I'm doing it because I want to be that guy.
Yep.
That's the energy you got to bring. It takes practice.
Yep.
It takes practice, purposeful practice.
Well, dude, not only that, but like my buddy Carlos said it so well. And he goes, you know, my family's going to get the best of me, not the rest of me. And I started, this was probably about maybe 8 or 12 months ago, I stopped looking at the weekends as my time off. And I started looking at it. That's when I'm a full-time dad and a full-time husband. And the reason I did that was because it's like I could catch myself relaxing on the weekends. First of all, I had the realization that weeks and weekends were built by people.
Oh yeah, I know. It's the biggest scam in history.
Yeah, and fucking the farm, my farming background of my great grandpa, they never heard of a fucking weekend. You know what I mean? Like they were milking fucking everything and whatever.
Yeah, there's no days off.
So I started to go, okay, wait a second. So this is a super entitled fucking mentality. I'm gonna work, I usually work from like 5 in the morning to about 5 at night, Monday through Friday. I'm sorry, Tuesday through Friday. I started looking at Saturday and Sunday as my time to be with my family all day long. What are we doing? We'll pick what you want and let's have a good time. I come up with some ideas and really look at like the CEO in the sense of my job is to create a container that is great. What is if my life is this awesome thing that any woman would want to be a part of, am I creating that or am I just saying that? So I look at Saturday and Sunday as my time to be full-time dad, full-time husband. They know they've got 2 days to hang with me, no distractions, no, I'm not bullshit on the phone, nothing. And then I take Monday off for me.
Bingo.
I come over here to my man cave. I get high. I hang out. I fucking talk to God. I let God talk to me. I dance here. I play pool. I watch a movie. I do whatever the fuck I want all Monday until about Monday around 5. And I just go home, recharged, ready to go, fired up, full of piss and vinegar, ready for. I just figured if I ain't living while I'm living, am I really living?
I love that. And
so Saturday and Sunday, they got and then when I come home, they got my full attention. You know what I do before I go home? I just get totally clear to like, I'm done with this place. Even though as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking about everything. I get it. But I'm like, what is my reputation at home for when I come home? What's my reputation with my wife and my daughter? And now we have my 16-year-old niece living with us. What is their reputation? And I got to be really mindful of that. What's my reputation with these 3 human beings that when they get to see me, you guys get to see this version of me. What version of me do they get to see? So as an entrepreneur, I rearranged my life to be in such a way to where I'm like, no, man, I can't. First of all, I think weekends are, that's not, I know that's how our world's kind of set up, but that's a bullshit way of doing it. I'm not doing it that way anymore.
Yeah.
So I did that about 8-12 months ago, and it's been amazing, dude. Because I know if I'm going to get that one day, nobody can interrupt it. My wife will never interrupt that day. One full day of just what the fuck does Keith Yackey want to do today? Anything goes. Anything goes. It helps me show up the other days. Like I'm not going to come home and be like, oh, I'm tired from work. No, you're not. Like, what'd you fucking do? Talk to people? I used to be a fucking partner, and I actually had to work for a living, not just fucking tell people wisdom about all the bullshit pain I went through and how I figured out. You know what I mean? So I had to start really reconfiguring how are you actually looking at this in reality, Keith? And let's fucking be a man about this. So yeah, dude. Pretty cool.
You sold online fitness programs all day. You poor thing. Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? So again, I started looking at what's my standard? What's my standard? What's my standard? Well, my standard is not be a fucking pussy. So then I can't use pussy as excuses because that's not what my standard would be. So dude, it's just, bro, there's so many things. I get so deep into all of these things of how I actually look at a dad. Like I'll give you the best parenting advice I've ever gotten because there's dads in here. And then I know we're probably running really fucking late on time. But
this is amazing. This is awesome.
I'll give you this, dude, this changed for me big time about, oh shit. This is going on for maybe 2.5 years maybe. And it was simply this. When I would sit down with my daughter, and sometimes I'll have her for the whole weekend because my wife, she'll drive and hang out with her mom and go away for the weekend with her friends and stuff. And which is, I think every guy should send their wife away for a day so that way they can spend just their time with their kids so that you can make their food. You bond with them way differently than if mom's there fucking doing all the shit.
Oh my gosh. That's huge.
Just the law of energy says if there's 2 people there, they're going to focus on it. When there's third, it's going to be split and divided. Anyhow, all that simply. So what I would do with Jovi is I would wake up and go, okay, we used to call it an itinerary, but then we started calling it a playlist. And we'd get up Saturday morning or Friday night. They go, all right, what are we doing this weekend? And then I would have her and I make the itinerary together. And I would let her, she like, putting in the emojis. Okay, what are we doing next? And I let her come up like, okay, if you were to lead us into a day of activities, what does that look like? She's 8, so I'm instilling leadership qualities into her. And I'm telling her, this is the best piece of advice. I started saying, what do you want to do? And then I start doing that with her as opposed to saying, hey, let's go do this.
Yeah.
Big shift.
Huge.
But same in marriage. If I go, hey, what does my wife want to do? Rather than me always saying, I got to do what I want to do.
Dude, I'm such a good dad. Like, no, as the cool kids say, no cap.
Yeah, that's what
I'm such a good dad. Like the shit you do, that's what I do. But here's the messed up part. I don't always do it with my wife. And it would work so well. Yeah. Like I have the answers like right here. Like I'm a badass dad. All my friends, dude, they're like, you're the best dad ever. Like, how do you do it? You're so busy, blah, 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 blah. You're so in shape and you're still the best dad ever. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. And I'm a good husband, but I want to be a great husband. I don't want to be great. I want to be a spectacular. Yeah. Like this dude's on another planet. Like, how does he do that? Because I look at you, I'm like, that's how I feel about you and your wife. I'm like, damn, like there's levels to this game, baby. I want to play the game though.
Yeah. Dude, bro, I'll tell you, that is so good to hear. I believe it's true because a lot of people tell it to us, but honestly, we've looked at each other. We've said on our podcast, we're like, is there any other couple that you look up to right now? You're like, I wonder how they do that. And the answer is no, we haven't seen those. Doesn't mean that we just haven't seen them with our own eyes or heard them with our own ears. But I'll tell you what, man, dude, it's so great to hear because like we lean towards that as well. And we're actually, married game, the hook is usually guys that are not getting what they want, lean in, go, I got to figure out this out. But what's interesting is the high level relationships that are around us and that my high level friends that come to me and go, man, shit, the shit you've told me or talked to me has so elevated my game that I never saw things the way you're telling me to see them. But now that I see them, how did I not ever fucking see this?
Exactly.
That's why I jokingly say I sell the pet rock. It's a rock, but it's packaged in a way that you believe it's your pet.
Well, dude, I'm already putting and I know this could be an 8-hour podcast. It's amazing. I'm putting the connections together already. I know we'll have to have you back on for sure. I mean, my people are going to die to have you back on, but I'm already putting the connections together because it's funny. You mentioned the Monday, right? And I'm like, bro, guys, we're talking about sex or getting your ex back or whatever. You're going to get whatever you want. Like straight up, you want a day off to yourself every week, Monday? Like, yeah, you're going to get that. It's not just about the sex. Like guys were always like, yeah, I want more sex. I'm a simple guy. I just want sex, food on the table. Bullshit sometimes. Bullshit. There's things you want, you're afraid to ask for.
Yeah.
Like I want to go to the gym at this time, this day. The only reason she's giving you a hard time is because you don't have all these dials in, bro. Like that's it. So like your Monday, I'm thinking Keith gets his Monday because he's a savage. He's got all the other stuff fully locked in.
Yep.
So he's like, babe, don't talk to me on Monday. She's like, cool. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Go do your Monday.
It's so happy for me.
Oh yeah. She's like, she's like, dude, Monday, it's Keith Day.
Keith Day.
That's awesome.
But
dude, all right. We gotta
all that to say anything you want to create, you can create. I've always just said, hey, if there's a guy that's got the blueprint, fucking show me how to do it. And that's what we've created. Like if guys need to get in shape, they're coming to you. They're like, well, you have the fruit of what they want. I have the fruit of what I know every guy wants in terms of a relation. I feel like a relationship billionaire, if I'm being honest with you, man. Yeah.
Where do you guys start with you? Because we have a ton of killers that listen to this show that are crushing in at least one area of life. Maybe it's business, fitness, or whatever, but where do they start?
The best place to go, if this conversation is like, I need to learn more about how to get my wife to want me and to have sex with me and all this stuff, I would highly encourage them to go to just marriedgame.com. And if they jump on the phone with me or my other guy and they tell us they heard us on your podcast, we always make sure that no matter where anybody's heard us from, that whoever sent them our direction gets taken care of really well. It's just how we operate.
Cool.
And everybody tells me, no, don't do it, whatever. But I always do it. And everyone's like, fuck, you're like the first guy that's ever done that. No, it's just how I operate business. I want every one of you fucking sweet, sexy, modelly, muscly guys sending people over to me who are not getting their dick wet the way they could. Because they should, with a body like that, you should be getting laid as much as you want, is what I'm saying. Now, I know it takes the other stuff, but come on now.
Yeah.
So they can go to marriedgame.com. If they're just interested in saying, man, this guy's got some interesting philosophies on life that I would just like to follow and stay in touch with, probably the best place is where you found me, and that is on Instagram at keithyackey.com. I have a shit ton of videos on there. We release 2 clips a day on Instagram that are from all the podcasts I've done and my own podcast here. So beautiful. That's probably what I say.
Amazing, man. Well, hey,
you know what I should say? Here's what I should say, because we just finished it. KeithYackey.com actually is the go-to for everything. Ooh. So my guys just finished it like 2 weeks ago, and it's so fucking sexy and stupid. It's ridiculous. So go to KeithYackey.com.
All right, guys, you heard the man. Go to KeithYackey.com. Dude, thank you so much, man. You just spent 2, I know, incredibly valuable hours with me, man. And I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. This has been incredible. Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's your energy too, man. I feel like a kindred spirit to you. And like, you get it. You just talk to people and you're like, oh, okay. I don't know if you've ever played an instrument, but you can tell when you're playing with somebody an instrument, they're like, oh, they actually know what's going on here. Yeah. I feel that about you. It's like, okay, you get it. And it's no wonder why you're making dough and you got a great body and your hot wife loves you and your kids adore you. It's just these little things. And when you said it's not just the little things, it's especially the little things. And dude, like like Mel Gibson taught us in Patriot, man, aim small, miss small, baby.
Yes. I tell that to my guys getting ready for a Spartan race, trying to hit that damn spear. Aim small, miss small. You'll never go wrong. I love it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you, brother.